in particular, I agree to be recorded. That's on one hand. There is a wide range of technologies, and then on the other side, the teams, the clubs, the youth soccer academies, they don't have the time, the patience, the capacity to actually screen these technologies. They don't have the ability to know what exists in the market. And the natural thing to do is, again, the thing that we are trying to do at Colosseum, to merge and to let people speak both languages, which is the sports tech lingo. And with that, we initiated, and with huge support for several startups, among them Playfrom, that said, why won't we create an alliance to let people speak the same lingo? So we have Omer, thank you for joining us and for pushing this alliance, and Shmulik, the CEO of Playfrom, that will play an important role in promoting this alliance after many years in the technology ecosystem. So we are initiating today the Youth Soccer Tech Alliance, that we'll call the Tech 11 Lab, that will actually be a meeting point, will act as a meeting point for both soccer tech related technologies and, of course, the sports industry. With us today, we have amazing speakers, amazing guests, friends, to say the least. We have David Evangelista, a good friend. David, where are you? David, here. One of the best speakers that I've had the opportunity to meet. David, thank you for joining with amazing, I would say, inspirational moves and active, Special Olympics, I can say more than that. Jay, again, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, or should I thank your wife for supporting us so early in the morning and making sure that you can join us. Lorraine Hamlin, which is a very good friend, also graduate of the Sports Tech Management program by Colosseum. Lorraine is heading the innovation partnerships at Under Armour. I'll let her present herself in a second. Shmulik Barel, as said, CEO at Playfrom, an amazing tech figure in Israel. We have Cesar Lopez. Where is Cesar? Cesar, I need to learn the Italian style you always lead. I always feel
getting a lot of slack around the office for it today.
I feel underdressed always. From Orlando City, I will let you as well present yourself. And Costa, talking about entrepreneurs and leaders in the innovation world. Thank you, Costa, for joining iBrain Tech. There is a lot going around brain technologies now with the development of the youth. Before I start, I want to give the stage to a great friend that helped me collect data, analyze data around the youth soccer tech development. We have 60 seconds opening by Adam Cohen. Where is Adam? Adam?
Hello, Oren. How are you today?
I'm good. So 60 seconds run. If it's 62 seconds, we send you to Jay. Okay, go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Youth Soccer Tech Alliance. It's great to see you guys. So my name is Adam Cohen, and I work for Colosseum, and I've had the pleasure of being a team manager for the Youth Soccer Tech Alliance. So I'm going to run through some youth soccer tech figures. Over the past 5 years, over 100 youth soccer tech startups or subsidiaries of companies have been formed, with over a 30% rise in the industry in only the past year. This has caught the eye from people from all over the world, from venture capitalists to professional soccer teams, and especially youth soccer programs. So I'm going to name some youth soccer tech companies on the rise that combine the technology side with the sports side. Football Matching Services, or FMS, has programs for scouting players. Playfrom, who is with us today, has an amazing AI-powered training platform. And iBrain Tech, which is also with us today, combines visualization with neurofeedback to enhance user performance. Finally, the company that I work for, Colosseum Sport, is bringing a unique platform to the market. It's bridging the gap between technology and sports, called the Youth Soccer Tech Alliance. Our KPIs, which are key performance indicators for the next year, is as follows. We're trying to get 100 startups to be added to the website, 12 events annually on Zoom, 10 board members with an equal ratio to sports and tech companies, and 1 annual event in person that we will give more details on in the coming weeks. I'm going to put the link to join the Youth Soccer Tech Alliance in the chat, so feel free to join the community. In order to join, you must have at least 3 years of experience in your field or 3 years of professional experience as a professional athlete. Like I said, my name is Adam Cohen. Glad I could share a few key points with you guys. Sending my best from Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you very much, Adam. So with that, it was 65 seconds. I counted that, Adam. We'll talk about it later. So starting a bit of personal introduction, waking up in the morning so early. Jay, you go first. Muted, yeah.
Well,
Please.
first and foremost, I'm definitely very happy to be here, to have this opportunity to talk about youth sports. I serve on the board, well, I serve on the task force for the U.S. Soccer Federation for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, as well as the Director of Business Development for Sports Research and Innovation at UNLV. We are definitely seeing a massive change, not only in participation levels, but also across the board as far as the interest in innovation and research and what role it plays in developing better athletes, but also obtaining data on how you can have fan engagement, interaction, participation, and all the above. So it's really exciting to be here today, to have the opportunity to speak with each of you and also learn from you. Where I think the beautiful thing about sports, which is, I believe, is the perfect metaphor for life, is the ability to continue to learn and to increase your abilities, not only physically, but also mentally. So again, very happy to be here. It's not too early. I'm normally in the gym at this time, so it's good to be able to train the brain right now versus the body. So I look forward to the rest of the day.
For sure, and I'm sure that Costa will share something around training the brain. Connecting to Lorraine Hamlin from Under Armour. So please, Lorraine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Hamlin. I lead our open innovation practice in our Baltimore headquarters. So that means I look for startups, inventors, entrepreneurs, bring them back to UA and see if there's a fit with one of the business units. So, Under Armour was born in American football, so I don't think that we're top of mind when people talk about soccer. I mean, we don't even call it the right name. We call it soccer instead of football. So we're working on that. We have a new global football initiative. So I'm really excited to be a part of this panel and learn.
Amazing. Hey, going from there to Cesar. Hey, Cesar.
Good morning, Oren. Thank you again for having me and also for being a part of this panel. This is a really interesting and fun opportunity for us to dive into an important area. And for those that don't know about Orlando City Soccer Club, we're based in Orlando, but we have a Major League Soccer team. We're a Division I professional team here in the United States and North America. We also have a National Women's Soccer League team named Orlando Pride, which carries some of the most popular athletes in the world, and including Alex Morgan, Marta, Ashlyn Harris, Ali Krieger, a lot of these really, really big global superstars. So really fun dynamic in terms of being able to manage and oversee the professional side, but more importantly, as a mandate for our organization, we care about the community, and that enhances. We find that our sport is a really good opportunity to bring people together, and in that same vein, develop the people of tomorrow, right? And so I think when we look at development, we don't look at it just from a lens of this is something that we're going to get a professional athlete out. We want to have somebody who's a good member of the community. And so we have an entire academy and youth affiliation program designed to develop the humans and the better people for tomorrow. So I'm really excited to be a part of this panel. And I think that technology naturally intertwines with what our philosophies are. And so excited to dive into the topics today. Thank you.
Amazing. Happy to have you with us. David, please.
Thank you so much, Oren. I'm honored to be on the line. Great to meet all of our distinguished panelists. David Evangelista, President and Managing Director of Special Olympics Europe Eurasia. Do a lot of work on the international development front as well, and this is such a key issue. As the marketplace is changing, especially in a post-COVID space, the way in which youth football, European football, to harness Lauren's point, European football, American soccer, the way that youth technology and soccer collide in this space is actually quite exciting. And I think, each one of those themes unto themselves, we could spend 3-4 hours speaking about, but the way this type of positive collision of impact, of innovation, and of excitement really is one of the sweet spots of Special Olympics. And so on behalf of athletes, soccer players, and footballers with intellectual disabilities around the world. I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you very much for the generous invitation. And I really want to harness Jay's point of training the brain. If it's okay, I will cite you, of course, citations aside, but I think training the brain is just as important as training the body. So thanks for that reinforcement. Over to you, Oren.
Amazing. Okay, so with the brain and the brain, Costa, show us some brain.
That's unbelievable. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Konstantin. I'm neuroscientist, entrepreneur, and a sports fan. And this is why I've started iBrain Technologies, which is a company that combines science and sports together to develop unique technology that allows athletes to improve their performance by directly training the most important organ, their brain. And I think for youth, this is the topic of much importance. I'll be happy to share it and learn from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As we say, and last but not least, one of the strongest brain in terms of tech development, Shmulik, are you with us? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi guys, hi everyone, hi Oren. Thanks for having me. So I'm Shmulik, I'm the CEO of Playform. I will introduce Playform in a minute, so I won't talk long for now. Playform is a personal digital coach. We're targeting the youth athletes market, which we have observed as a huge opportunity to put an elite level technology at the fingertips of each and every youth athletes, which we believe should deserve and get this kind of tech, which the athletes, the elite level athletes get. So I will share more about it very soon.
Amazing. So before we start, I would encourage you guys, guests, you have the chat. If you want to throw some questions over there, your LinkedIn, startups that are part of the session, you can share your URL. It would be interesting to take a look at. I see some familiar faces from Moshe, Jenna, Andres, that are part of the community. I see them in several events. Hi, Andres. So keep on connecting and sharing. Lauren, I'll be happy to start with you. What is the role of Under Armour in youth development in terms of letting the youth level develop in terms of we see the retail giants in sport, they have a lot of impact. I'm not going to share other brands' name now because we have only Under Armour, so it's Under Armour 100%. But youth soccer and innovation is based very much on the ability to have the opportunity to actually train with the equipment. So what is the role of Under Armour in that area?
So for us, I would say the biggest thing is our commitment to youth sports in general. The youth are our customers of tomorrow, right? So if we capture them early on and removing those barriers to sport, regardless of what the sport is. And we're also, very much a tech company, with our suite of apps and tracking athletes, providing personal data for them so they can be the best athlete they are. So that's one thing. I think another is sort of as we grow globally, more than 80% of our business is based in North America. So as we expand into other markets, we need to look at these sports that we have not traditionally really invested in. So that's, I mentioned earlier, where you have a new global football business unit that is looking at that beyond just cleats, looking at the full kit, how we can capture that athlete, from the Nikes and the Adidas. See, it's okay to say it. It really is. Early on, so that they, when they think of youth soccer, they think of Under Armour. And then I would like to see a greater partnership with MLS, and because what we're seeing at UA is those youth soccer athletes are still looking, they're Premier League fans. They're still looking at the European clubs more so than Major League Soccer in the US. So I think that's a natural partnership. And I think tech can help sort of level the playing field for all, not just the elite clubs, all the way down to rec leagues.
Absolutely. And saying that tech can support and tech can help, I would like to take the opportunity, and Shmulik, as we discussed earlier on, if Shmulik can share a little bit about some of the development around youth soccer tech, and share maybe about Playform and the development that the company is doing around the youth soccer development. So Shmulik, if you have the opportunity to share a screen, I think you have, and to go through and lead us through the youth soccer tech development real time. And from that, of course, we'll jump into the other speakers soon. So take a few minutes to share with us your overview on that.
Yeah, sure. Let me just put my screen. Cool. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, please.
Cool. Okay, great. So I'm also very excited to share with you our new brand, our new logo, just out of the oven. So we are Playform, and I will share a bit what we're doing later on. But actually, what I wanted to discuss today is what is the how does technology is being adopted in the sports market. So when we are looking on sports market, there are more than 240 million youth soccer players all over the world, and almost 900 million youth athletes in general. Only 10% of them are playing in clubs and academies. It means that the vast majority of players are actually what we are calling in Playform free players. They are not organized. They don't have any kind of club or team they are connected to. And even if they are, still only 2% of the players have today any kind of access to sports technologies. This is an amazing number. I was not, I didn't grow up in the sports market, but in technology markets, and led few companies and in Israel and abroad. And I can tell you that this number is very, very small. So though we are very excited with the number of startups and the adoption of technology in sports, there is still a huge space for us to grow. And the overall adoption rate of new technologies for youth sports is pretty low. So the good part is that we have new technology to adopt. We have a way to grow, but we have to do something to push it and to accelerate this adoption in the market. So this is the innovation adoption cycle. If you're familiar with it, it actually presents the life cycle of adopting new technologies in different markets. You can take every market that you would like to see. This diagram is relevant. And if we're talking about 2% of the population that actually have access to sports technology, you can see where we are today. We are at the very beginning of adopting technologies in the sports market. Only the innovators actually are there already, but there's still a huge room, and the mass market still didn't get the ability to put his hands on this kind of technologies. So the question is, can we do better, or how should we do better to expedite this adoption of new technologies to the market? So the positive part is that the players are techies. They live and breathe digital experience. They live and breathe technologies. The average youth today spends more than 3 hours a day in different digital mediums, whether it's on the social platform, on the esports, and on other medias that actually make his life a kind of an ongoing digital experience. So they are techies, they are looking for technology. This become a kind of a nature of their ongoing life. But when they are going out to the field, they lack this experience. And a survey that was done by the National Alliance Youth Sports a few years ago actually described the main reasons that youth athletes today quit sports. One, it's not fun anymore. So the players say, okay, I'm going out to the field. It's not fun. I don't enjoy the practice, and I don't want to do it anymore. The second one is that the training is not personalized. Kids are used today to have a personal experience. Everything is personal. They don't want to get the same experience like their friends, like their relatives. They want to feel like they're the center, and everything is tailor-made for their own experience. And today, most of their experience on the training field is that the training is not personal. And the third reason is that it's not rewarding. So again, anyone who has youth kids at home knows that they are looking for rewards for probably everything that they do. And if they don't get this real-time ongoing rewarding, then they are disappointed. So these three main reasons actually cause a huge churn of kids, of youth athletes in sports, and these numbers only increase in the last few years. The opportunity that we have as technology guys is to combine the thrill of the game with the power of technology. We can bring this digital experience into the physical world and combine these two worlds of the physical training and the digital experience, and actually take these three reasons that cause youth athletes to churn today, to quit sports, and to bring them back to train. So when we are doing some kind of an overview on the various verticals that we identify today for sports, it can start from training, going to measurement, continuing with scouting, and then with engagement. So what I would like to do is really to have a very high level overview of each and every vertical. I won't go into each and every technology that there exists in the market, but only what we can do with this kind of technologies. So about training, COVID-19 made a huge serve to this, the XFE agenda, which is train from everywhere, work from everywhere, do everything from everywhere. So training is not different. We can use technology to allow the kids, to allow the players to train on the field and off the field, at home, on their backyard, on the neighborhood, and actually to use this kind of technologies of remote training to get and push the users, the players, to train more. The second one is the multi-skills training. So you can train the body, you can train the brain, you can train all the kind of elements of the player with new technologies that are being shifted to the market each and every day. And the third one is that you can get with technology the personalized experience. So if you are building a product to youth players today, you can build it in a way that the experience will be very personal. They will get the feel that they are being treated as the main user, the main player, and everything is around them. On the world of measurement, you can provide players real-time feedback. So there are amazing technologies today which allows to measure players and provide them real-time feedback on the practice, on the field. This is a great way to push the players to create the excitement that they are used to, like they are playing now on FIFA at home, sitting in front of their TV or their computer, and excited when they get some kind of a badge or a trophy or something like that. You can provide them today a similar experience while they practice. You can track their development over time and provide them the feedback of how they are doing relative to others, relative to themselves. How does their improvement trend looks like, which can motivate them to push more and to track the progress over time. And on the scouting side, so again, technology can create a new ways to hire or to track talents. You can track talents abroad. You don't necessarily have to go and physically see each and every talent, at least not in the initial player evaluation. There are great solutions today for scouting youth athletes over the world. And you can also easily match between the player and the team. So we know that scouting is not only about the individual player skills, but it's also how would he fit into a specific team. So you can match between the player and the team. There are great technologies that can do this kind of magic on terms of the match. And the last one is the engagement. So as I've previously said, gamification, fun, it's all about making the training more fun to the players, pushing them to be more outside and not at home, not in front or on their TV, but outside in the backyard, on the field. And you can use gamification elements in the solutions to push the players to train more. You can create more engagement by connecting between the coaches and the players, and everything can be very similar to the communication platform that the players are used to have today. So how do we get to the vast majority of to the mass adoption in the market? There are several questions that each and every club or team that would like to implement new tech has to ask themselves. What are their goals? What is the typical usage? Who is the main user? Is it the youth athletes? Is it the coach? The scouts? How much they are willing to pay? So technology today, the cost of technology reduce each and every year barriers of high costs for hardware-based solution actually being replaced by software more and more and more. This is taking down the cost of new technologies and allowing more and more clubs, more and more teams, more and more players to put their hands on such technologies. What are the alternatives? So one of the things we want to get in the Alliance is really to create a map of all the alternatives in the different verticals that the guys will have the ability to explore. And how will you measure the impact? So this is one of the most interesting and actually important questions. You're going to implement new technology, how you are going to measure the success or the failure of the implementation. Implementing new technology, so you have to get your team excited, to define a clear plan. Start small, take your early adopters. In each and every club or team, we identified it in Playform. I will show you in a minute how. There are early adopters. Take these coaches who are more tech-oriented, tech-savvy, start with them, create a local success, and then move on. Collect the feedback and gradually roll out to everyone. So, few more slides I would like to share with you is a case study from the way that we approach clubs. Playform is a mobile-based personal coach that measure and provide real-time feedback to players while doing
Shmulik, I would like to connect it to a point that I will touch base later on. So to keep it warm up, leave this and I'll be back to you in a few. I would like to jump to David, keep it live, and I'm back to you. David.
All right, here we are. Well,
here we are. So Special Olympics is a big love on my hand, and I would like to touch base on the importance of the development and the involvement of soccer in Special Olympics and the importance of technology into it. I had the opportunity, I quit 4 years ago from being an active top league soccer referee, and the only match I had the opportunity with the request of Sharon, which is the managing director of Special Olympic Israel, is that she told me that the UK team is playing against the Israel team and they're looking for a referee. And I said, you know what? I didn't touch my whistle for, it was a year ago, 3 years, but for that, I'm going to whistle. And this was super exciting. And I know that technology can actually bring a lot of value into it and to let people engage with sports very much. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think, Oren, first off, thank you again for giving the platform. It's great to see that after 4 years of taking a hiatus, your first whistle grab was for athletes with intellectual disabilities. Of course, what's more exciting than a bilateral match between Israel and the UK? In the world of Special Olympics, I'm sure there were winners and losers, but the beautiful thing about our movement is that we boast of victories without victims. I can win without you losing. And that's the exact invitation that the athletes of Special Olympics bring to the world. It's an invitation to their world where solidarity, unity, acceptance are not romantic ideals. These actually have transactional value. Special Olympics offers to communities, national governments, companies, associations, entire sectors with the chance to celebrate what the world doesn't really allow us to celebrate: new awakenings, new beginnings, righting wrongs. So often these are themes that are found to be polemic in today's world. But in the world of Special Olympics, people with intellectual disabilities invite us to see them differently. They invite us to rewrite our own understanding of the world. And by seeing them differently, we actually can see ourselves more clearly. Again, sounds quite romantic and, dare I say, even mystic. But when you come to the world of Special Olympics and you experience what I'm describing, you understand it actually is more of a way of life. And it has everything to do with what you touch and feel, how you act, what you say, what you do, what you dream. And so as we look to empower these athletes, unbeknownst to us, we actually find ourselves empowering ourselves. Or if it's okay, I'm going to jump to some slides, and I'm going to see if I can actually, I'm going to see if I can do this. Let me see here. Here we are. Let's see if I can just, I'm going to share. Can everyone see these slides quickly? Yeah, maybe.
Wow. Yeah, we do.
Let me see here. No, let me see. I gotta. Well, I'm gonna try to go to full screen, but
Over here on the bottom right. Yeah.
there we go. No, wait. There we go. Well, in any case, we'll keep it here. Everyone can see this. Everyone can see this this photo, correct? This is in Athens, Greece, in 2001. I'm sorry, 2011. There was about 80,000 people sitting in what was the original Olympic Stadium in downtown Athens, Greece. There were 7,489 athletes participating in those games. And you can see that, you know, in 2011, in the cradle of the Olympics, this has, you know, it brought so many people together. Now, of course, here we are sitting in COVID times. We can only do this virtually. But imagine what the world has become when 80,000 people are sitting on marble stone for hours, celebrating what is the biggest brand gamble in sports history. And you're probably going to ask, well, David, what is it you're actually talking about here? Well, to bring 80,000 people together and not have a Lionel Messi, and not have a LeBron James, not have a Rafa Nadal, what's there? What's happening? Well, this is where it started. And many of you can see here, this is Eunice Kennedy Shriver. She's the sister of John F. Kennedy. Many people don't know, but the Kennedy family had a sister with an intellectual disability, and largely shunned away. And so Eunice Shriver created this movement called Special Olympics to dare to challenge the world to see her sister differently, and therefore to see anyone with a different ability differently. But what you see in the back there is Soldier Field, Chicago, 1968. The United States is in the throes of civil rights movement, riots, violence. The world is in the throes of geopolitical transition. And Eunice Shriver decides to cut through all of that and she decides to invest in youth in sports, but not your average youth. She decides to invest in the most downtrodden, invisible, abused, trafficked, exploited population, children and adults with intellectual disabilities. And she decides to give them the most coveted brand, Olympic. And so when I see the Playform brand, I think of what Mrs. Shriver must have been thinking when she came up with this theme of Special Olympics. She's daring the world to consider a child with Down syndrome who has no athletic prowess, but who could still embody the Olympic ideals. And so what did Special Olympics do with soccer, football, and youth? Well, here in Europe, and a great mentor and friend of mine on the line with us, Michael Smith, patching in from Catalonia in Spain. Thrilled he's here. I'm sure, I hope he smiles as I'm presenting our European Football Week. We bring together 58 nations around Europe, connecting with national football federations, sports clubs. We have the likes of Didier Drogba, Lewandowski, Giulio Lopetegui. You know, they all come out and support their national teams. Over 40 nations around the region, 150 events, all in 1 week. 40,000 participants, vast majority of whom are under 25 years old.
David, I would like to take the opportunity to save some catharsis for us to come in a second, because, you know, I can listen to you, as said yesterday, for hours, but I would like to jump to Cesar. One of the most important things, I'm coming back to you as I'm coming back to Shmulik, but I want to hear Cesar, Lorraine, and so on. And to save, as said, some catharsis, because again, I can listen to you for hours. Cesar Lopez, the US sport most popular game is again football, and we have several US guys with us on the line, as far as I see from on the Zoom names and so on, and the nationalities. And again, I see soccer developing in an extreme way, yeah. And I put my trust in the way that the US sport is managed, because everything, Jay, you would agree with me, Lorraine, again, you're coming from the US sports industry, everything is about data. And I want to ask you, what is the role, and how do you see it from your position in Orlando FC? What is the role of the development around that? How do you see your potential leadership? It's true that football, again, is the most popular, but soccer is rising. And I think that we will be able to see the huge impact that is coming from the US market to the European soccer. It's true that the European soccer is leading, but we see, again, private equities, the ownership of Manchester City and the ownership of Liverpool and many other teams is based on US-based private equity, so it goes top down. What's your take on that in terms of the data, in terms of analytics? Is your take on that in terms of being today able to measure statistics, to measure data like Ari Brand and like Playform are doing?
Well, thank you first, Oren, for the platform, and it's a broad question, but I really enjoy this question, because the answer is data is the core of a lot of what we do as an operation, right? As a soccer club, a community partner, somebody who is competing for championships, somebody who is trying to make the best fan experience for our community, being good community partners, and growing the game, using data in different ways for all of those sort of core pillars of our organization is critical and important for the growth of the game. And I can't overstate that enough, how important that is for our organization, for our market. In 1994, a lot of folks ask me what my why is, right? In 1994, I was growing up here in Orlando, and we were able and fortunate to have the World Cup, Orlando be a host city for the World Cup. And I have a photo of my father holding me up saying like, oh, this is great. Now I'm in this position where we have an opportunity to bring back the World Cup in 2026. We're doing the work, but it comes from within the community. And David, just to a quick point, Special Olympics next year, we're hosting it here in our stadium as well, the opening ceremony. So we're really excited about that as well. But going back to developing the future of our city, and I say our community because these are the same individuals that grow up with the game. they might have different and unique needs that come out of the sport. Some people want to develop as human beings. Some people want to go on to be really important soccer players and professional athletes. And then there's another sector of the community in the youth space, which is a lot of times the parents, right? And we can't forget about how important those folks are. When I was younger, my parents were driving me around hours upon end to different practices and games and weekends everywhere else in between. But when we look at technology, how do we enhance the experience for our community? Some folks, and the presentation earlier was very clear, it's tactical, it is development, it is how many hours of sleep are you getting? What kind of food are you eating? How many miles are you running? How is your recovery? Those are really critical and sometimes really highly engaging for folks that are, have professional aspirations. And then then we also think about how does the parent who has to drop their kid off for an hour and a half at training, how do they interact with data? Do they want to see how is my son or my daughter performing? What are the key metrics that matter to me? How do I stay engaged with the club? I have one of the hats that I wear is I'm chairman of one of the largest youth soccer clubs in Orlando, and that's where we're focused. We're laser focused on not only making it a fun, engaging, and desirable place to be for the players, but also for the folks that have to wait an hour and a half in the car while their kids are training. So I think data becomes really, really critical, but it's really important to keep it simple. And I use that because I think complicating with massive amounts of data can actually be paralyzing. We use the term analysis paralysis, but at the end of the day, if we can figure out what the key metrics are for our constituency and our community, I think we can make it a better experience for everybody and ultimately achieve our goal of growing the game.
Totally agree. Couldn't agree more. Jumping to Jay, asking about, you're coming on one end from the university, on the other end, you're involved in youth soccer and development. How do you see the use of technology in the US soccer world? And what could be its importance from the research side, from the university, from UNLV and other universities, other Ivy League universities that are leading research around sports towards actually practical use in the day-to-day life around youth soccer and soccer in general?
Thank you, Oren. And again, I really appreciate the platform to be here today and to be able to speak to this great group and to have the opportunity to really talk about something that I'm really passionate about. I actually played American football, right, versus European football. And I played at the University of Notre Dame, but I definitely have experience in working with different youth across the board and understanding the overall need and the power of research. You mentioned data and the importance of data and what it can do to develop young people. I'm seeing the app from Playform and how that can just have an impact on so many youth across the country in different ways. But I think what we see from research, the challenge that we see, which is also an opportunity, is how do we get it to those youths that don't have access to join a club? They don't have the resources to get to practice. They don't have the resources or the parent involvement that we so clearly need to keep our young people engaged to get there. So I think when we look at it from a research and academic side of it is, you want to see participation rates grow. We have to bring the technology to the kids, and we have to have ways to be able to interact with them and show them that technology. I see this question here in the chat from someone in Africa, and I say someone because I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I apologize for that, is, they're grappling with just basic technology. When you're just grappling with basic technology, it's like an iPhone versus a flip phone. It's how do you get someone to have access where we can see the great potential of the next great athlete, the next great Special Olympic athlete? How can you get that information to them? So I think from our standpoint, through sports research and innovation, we have a clear opportunity here at UNLV to engage our faculty members, our industry partners, and our students to look at innovation, then be able to work with different partners and take that innovation and that research to the students, to the people that where it matters most, and give them resources to help them become better. So if you want to see those participation rates grow in the sport that is probably the fastest growing sport in America, which is soccer, but in order for it to continue to grow, people have to be engaged in a way there they feel to play forums. They need to be able to see the thrill of the game with technology. But we know with sports analytics, data analytics, to have that technology, there's a cost that comes along with that. So how do we get that together and find a way where we can take all those resources and bring them to all the different people, and not just the ones that can afford to go to a club or things of that nature. I understand there's scholarships, and I'm a first generation college grad, so there's no way I'm going to Notre Dame off my parents' salary. So I understand that aspect of it. But I do think that there's a clear definition there where we need to look at it and see the opportunity, but understand that in order for us to look forward, we need to clearly understand where we are today.
Amazing, Jay. Inspiration. What can I say?
Or
Yeah,
if I
Lorraine,
may,
please.
I'd like to just add on to something that Jay said. When I was listening to Shmulik's presentation, what really jumped out at me is the engagement, and something that we're seeing in a city like Baltimore. What we found out is that there were a lot of kids who were not participating in sports because they didn't have the equipment. They didn't have a pair of shoes to wear on the court. So we made a commitment to provide uniforms and footwear for every public school student in the city of Baltimore. So it's all about removing those barriers, right? So once they have that, then they're like, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about what shoes I have on. I have Under Armour shoes on. I can try out for that team. That small little thing about that self-esteem and feeling comfortable with yourself and being able to go to that sport. And I think something that's been a real victim of COVID are these smaller rec leagues. They didn't have the resources to hold on long enough to make it through. The elite clubs and the travel teams, they're fine. They have a lot of money and they'll be okay. But how do we really focus, and going back to the question of the gentleman from Africa, which I answered in the chat, was that without a uniform way of reaching those athletes, it's very difficult to provide, those needs, just those basic, soccer cleats and balls and that sort of thing. So I think certainly the data part is absolutely important, but you're right, Jay, unless we can get that into the right hands and make that data really actionable for the team and the parent and the athlete, we're missing that critical piece. So I think, Shmulik, the work you're doing is great. And if we can get it to, throughout, every level would be amazing.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Lorraine. And thank you, Jay. I would like to follow to the guy with the brain, Costa. So we were talking about, and I know that you had an amazing pilot with Maccabi Tel Aviv football team with Patrick Van Leuven, which is a well-known coach in Europe, in the soccer world. Amazing results. And we ask ourselves, what could be the impact to come with iBrain? And tell us a bit about the brain technology used in sports and the impact about B2B means the clubs and also B2C direct to the players, please.
Thank you very much. I'm thinking about what have been said by Lorraine and Jay, and I really connect to what you're saying. And I would say that while brain training is beneficial for all, it can have a greater impact on youth specifically. And as we all know, learning is much easier when you're young. And the reason for that is brain plasticity. And young mind is much more adaptive and capable of absorbing information. This is why the progress of learning in young athletes is faster and more efficient. And I think it's crucial to utilize this age window as effectively as possible, meaning that definitely many barriers have to be removed. But I would add that most of the clubs nowadays know how to build good athletes, how to develop their talent in academies. And as many smart people say that if you don't measure, you can't really manage. And we do measure many aspects of the brain, of their athletes' performance. Nowadays, we measure the sleep habits, nutrition, training routine. The only organ we have zero information about is the brain. And I would claim this is the most important organ for most of athletes. And the benefits of brain training can range from improved concentration and decision making to the ability to regulate emotions, especially under fatigue, and even to better control over movements. And therefore, technologies to teach young athletes to regulate and train their brain activity can have a long-term impact both on their abilities and even on their future in sports. We do have several successful pilots with professional soccer clubs and academies, but we are on a mission to unlock brain training for vast majority of sports people, both recreational, semi-professional, in all continents, both in soccer and in each and every sport that involves brain.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
I would like you, if you can throw a link to share with our audience how actually iBrain works. This will for sure be beneficial. Cesar, I would like to ask you, you're presenting an MLS team you're on an executive position. And then on the other way, there are the startups, the entrepreneurs that say, okay, we have great technology. We want to meet this or the other MLS team and actually implement it. And, having the opportunity to work with FC Barcelona the last 2 years, and I know how difficult it is to meet the first team and how difficult it is to meet the La Mesaya. It's not easy to have. There are a lot of solutions, a lot of opportunities in the market. How actually you have the opportunity, how actually you have the access and the timing and the resources to screen technologies, if you have at all. And I'm not talking about the elite, I'm talking about the youth. What the entrepreneurs that are here listening to us, they need to know in order to knock on the door and say, Cesar, I have an outstanding technology that will put you in the, I would say, top of the scouting solution, brain technologies, drill training for your youth academy.
Well, thank you for the question. I want to be clear about the purpose of the technology, right? And also the purpose of what the customer in this case, or the consumer, is looking for. So as a soccer club, we're in the business of developing professional athletes. That there is a certain I would say approach that you have to take with getting a first team level player and the tools that can be used to develop that. Again, when we look at the entire soccer ecosystem here, at least in Orlando and in the United States, there are several different layers to that. There are the academy the academy players that are really highly talented and have a high ceiling. How do you elevate that to make sure that the player reaches their max potential? That's a different conversation than you're having with somebody who is utilizing our youth affiliation model or MLS Next model, which is really for participation in the sport generally, and how do you keep them engaged? So I think you have to know your audience pretty well, in terms of what technology you can bring to the table. I do agree that the brain is a critical and important piece of any development of any human, but these are the things that we would look at and say, hey, this is an interesting area because we're in the business of winning championships. And as a leader in this organization, I want to know what advantages there are out there, and things are constantly changing. And it's not about jumping into just the next hottest technology or the newest area. It's about being really thoughtful, strategic, and making sure that you're making a very clear decision as an organization, and that you have those support mechanisms. Because I say this all the time, when we hire staff or when we enter into a technology space, we need to make sure that we're committed, for a long period of time, because you have to give it some time to work. And you have to provide those individuals with the tools. So we're heavily looking into the the business intelligence space and the data analyst space, but you have to give those highly functioning employees and contributors the tools to be successful. So, again, I hate to give you the general answer, but the general answer is all about, it depends on who you're talking to. But I think that there's a ton of opportunity, and it's exciting to see the different products that are available within the tech space and how they intersect with the different levels of sport.
Amazing. So with that, I would like, Shmulik, if you can take an opportunity to share with us how it looks like when we talk about sports tech solution and development, how is it real time? You are muted, Shmulik. Shmulik, you are muted.
Can you hear me
now? Yeah,
sorry. Okay. So I'll skip the case study that I wanted to share about the cloud, but actually I wanted to connect to the previous discussion. So at Playform, for example, our mission is to bring an elite level technology and put it in the fingertips of each and every youth athlete with a mobile device only. No hardware, no external resources are required. And actually, we've been launching 6 months ago. We have today players from over 93 countries in the world, from Africa to Asia to South America to the US to Europe to Israel, of course, and to others. We see an amazing traction of players doing a lot of drills for the first time, have the ability to measure themselves in real time. Our technology, our proprietary technology, which we have been developed for the last 3 years, allows players to actually put their phones in front of them, doing several drills. We support today more than 50 drills in the platform, and increasing each and every week more and more drills, and get a real-time feedback on their performance. So they are doing dribbling in front of their phones, and they can get 7 insights of how they're doing this dribble, and they kicking the ball, and they can see how they kick the ball, and many, many insights. For the first time, we see an amazing feedback from the players. We are collecting more than 100 data points on each and every player today. We have today already several millions of data points on players, and we are growing organically, mostly organically. So it's very encouraging to see players all over the world striving to put this data and get this data in their hands. They can share their player card. We've designed it like a FIFA player card. They can share it with friends, with their parents, with the coaches, and show off on the social networks, and actually giving them the digital experience for the physical world. By the way, if we're talking about the clubs, so we have defined a new approach to target clubs. So we are not going to the management. It takes a lot of time. These big clubs, the big organizations. What we are doing, we are identifying these early adopters on the network, whether it's the players or the coaches. We are targeting them online. We are letting them to experience the product firsthand. They are using it for several weeks and even more. And then they are telling their friends, listen, I have a cool product, Playform app, you can use it. And they're sharing it with a coach, and they share it with other teams. And this is how it's cascading up in the club until it reaches these decision makers, which actually can come back to us and say, hey guys, we see that players are using Playform.
It's actually, Shmulik, connecting the dot of saying that there is a pipe of energy and resources that the clubs can put in screening technology. So you come, you put it over there, as we were talking, and the players by themselves can develop. But if I will jump, Shmulik, and ask David, so you are actually mediator. You have so many athletes under the roof of Special Olympics. Shmulik, where did you take the slide? So beautiful slide. No, I'm joking. But David, as someone that connects so many athletes, through Special Olympics, and they have, I would say, other needs, and Special Olympics gives them the answers to these needs. I think that being able to connect is something that is really important over here specifically talking. So what's your role in that?
Well, thank you, Oren. And, COVID really uncovered a lot of this. People with intellectual disabilities, regrettably, they have some of the lowest health outcomes. They have some of the lowest social protection outcomes, some of the lowest education outcomes. And part of that is because they don't share in the same access to broadband. They're not connected. They're not connected to their communities in an economic way. They're not given the chance. There was a mention earlier, flip phone to smartphone. This is not a population that is given, for all their special needs, there's not a lot of special attention. And so technology is something that we have found, especially across parts of the global South, that just don't have the access to broadband. And so the ability to engage in virtual convenings, learn more about COVID, through other mediums besides in-person education was very challenging, which really inspired Special Olympics to double down on the cross-section between sports and technology, which is why, Oren, I have commended you from the start and everyone for considering this demographic, not as special needs, but as a different demographic of athletes that have so much more to gain through sport. There was mention earlier that apps can help on diet. What are you eating? How are you burning calories? The idea of helping to make better decisions, control your emotional intelligence. I think Shmulik had mentioned the idea of, Constantino, of making better decisions under fatigue. This is a population that lives, regrettably, a lot of frustration. They're not understood. But on the field of play, the technology community has an opportunity to show the world that these people are no different when given the chance to engage in sport, when given the chance to use technology for the betterment of our lives. This is a population that stands to benefit so much. And the great thing about Special Olympics is that we invite people not to feel bad for this population. We invite them to feel good. We invite them to celebrate transformation. We invite them to celebrate the fact that you didn't think John with Down syndrome could be a star goalie. And so the technology has given to Special Olympics a new opening, and it's one we really wish to engage the whole community in. So thank you, Arn.
Thank you very much. Cesar mentioned, I know we have a few minutes to go. Cesar mentioned the MLS Next as an initiative that promotes and creates a lot of exposure. Lorraine, I'm going back to you. Other initiative you would like to share with us about Under Armour that is taking an active role in the youth soccer development? Muted. Yeah.
So our global sports, global football initiative is looking beyond just providing shirts and shoes. We're putting together a grassroots level program where athletes can come, and there will actually be a suite of assessments so that you have a starting point to know where you are as far as your skill level, your fatigue level, where your strengths are, and more importantly, where there's opportunity for improvement. And then we're going to at some point have that in our retail environment as well. So we'll follow that athlete, which creates more touch points with that athlete beyond like, hey, you've been in your soccer cleats for 6 months, it's time to come get new ones. It will be really giving them curated, personalized content. And Shmulik, you mentioned that as well, is if it's not specific to Oren, you're going to work out differently than I am. And so sure, it has to be specific to that athlete, not just this, canned list of exercises to do. So really dialing in that personalization and again, making it actionable. I think the collection of the data is really not the hard part. The hard part is making it actionable and meaningful for the athlete. So that's what we're really focused on. It's part of the reason we got rid of my Fitness Pal. It just didn't fit our consumer. And now we're doubling down on our Map My Fitness suite of apps to make it personalized for all athletes.
Okay.
I'll just add to what Lauren just said, which is, growing up as an athlete, there were products that were made that made you feel like you were faster or stronger. And now we can actually measure that. And how cool is that from an engagement standpoint? So just an observation of I wonder now if those shoes or cleats that I bought actually made me faster. It was just all mental, right? So,
Yeah.
but now you can actually measure that, and that's cool.
Thank you, Cesar, for the comment. So Jay, you both come from, as we say, coming from NLV, you see a lot of research and development on one hand, and you see the need on the youth soccer. Take me 5 years from now, how is the youth soccer is going to look like? I'm going to come to the pitch and I'm going to see players doing what? I don't know, like, tease me, share something, throw something to the earth.
I think some of the things that we're seeing through Playform and the things that we're hearing about the engagement of industry is really just what's going to transform the type of players you're going to see. I think Cesar mentioned one thing about his generation, which I think is also my generation, where mentally you felt like you were faster or stronger based on what you were wearing, how you looked. But that's all really important because that gives you confidence. So I think based on that, taking this technology to the young people over the next 5 years and spreading that out and giving more access. It's great to have technology, but you have to have access for it to be successful, right? So if it's accessible to all those around them and they have that understanding and be able to say, you know what, I really am faster today. I really am stronger. So the middle part of the game is already there. Then you have to go out and physically perform. Well, that's coaching and everything else that goes along with it. But having the ability to give young people the confidence that they can move faster, they can become stronger, they can be smarter about what they're doing within their respective sport. I think that's where you're going to see the 5 years from now. Again, the combination of academics, faculty, industry, research, innovation, all those collecting together is really going to change the dynamic in the face of how we see sports today. We already see it in fan engagement. We see it in fan engagement. We see it in the way that we interact, with the coaches interact. Even through the pandemic, you saw the virtual training of athletes. And that was more personable as well. So now it's opening up everybody's mind to explore things a little bit deeper than they have before. Grant, I come from a era of traditionalists where you ran heels all day to get better, you know? Caesar, I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, so it's all heels there. So you want to get stronger, faster. My coach said, get on the heel. But now there's technology to show you that you may not need to get on that heel because of the risk factors of injury and things of that nature. So there's so many other things now that I think 5 years from now, we're going to see some of the greatest athletes, some of the best fan engagement and sports venues that we can only imagine.
So Costa, in 5 years from now, I'm going to go to the stadium and I'm going to see a coach room, a training room, physiotherapy room, and then I'm going to see a brain room. What's going to happen?
I believe that brain gym has to be next door to their physical gym.
Wow, that's a definition. It's a brain gym, right? You know, it's a definition.
Brain gym.
You put something here, like it's a bomb in the middle of the Zoom. The brain gym. Okay.
Brain gym, correct. And I would say that we have to develop this muscle that we have like in the brain, the same way as we develop our muscles to be ready for this both excellence on their very competitive.
Very hard on my side. First of all, you need a brain for that in order to train it. So
you can't even imagine. I will say, you know what, like me and Messi, the same height, the same age, both athletic man, but why he's a football star and I'm a neuroscientist. And the only difference between us, I would even claim that he is not smarter than me. I would say that the only difference is this: his brain is unique for this specific game, for football, because his brain is capable of making decisions faster and controlling movements much more efficiently. And I would say that, of course, you need talent, you need brain, you need nature to be on your side. But in many, many cases, brain training can help you to unlock otherwise untapped potential of human brains that all of us have, both Olympic movement, Paralympic movement. David, listening to you, I got like paralyzed and astonished. If I can contribute any way, I'll be happy to. And yeah, I believe that we need to take brain into account, but definitely we need to focus on a balance of athletes for future.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I would refer my before last one to the coach, Shmulik, as it's writing on above. We can see it. You are the coach. This is the way that sports tech startup works. There is no CEO, there is a coach. So coach, there is a question. What do you consider are the top pillars when it comes to talent development within youth soccer? Sandra is asking. Sandra, where are you from? Where is Sandra? Where is Sandra? Okay, she's going to write it on the chat, but top pillars for development, 4 words. What are they?
So again, I believe that one of the most important thing is to be able to create more training units for the players. We know this is one of the biggest challenges in today's for the youth generation, right? They are at home, they are playing, they're using the smartphone for playing. We want to push them out again, back to the streets, back to the fields, create the excitement, the engagement around the game. Eventually, it's all about your training hours, how much you practice and what you're doing. So I believe this is one of the biggest thing. The second one is really the data. So let the players know what they are, let them compare themselves to other, show them their progress, create the visibility that each and every one really require today. So I believe being able to engage and provide this data to the players, this is one of the biggest pillars as well.
Thank you very much, Mulik. David, as always, you have to bring the last liner, and I will sum it up, please.
Well, what I would say is this. I mean, this has been tremendous. Everybody from the clubs, for Lauren coming from an industry leader standpoint, Orlando, great to know that Special Olympics is on the radar. Of course, we're bringing our USA national games there. When you consider the impact, the brain impact, the technological impact, the way in which we can become better at sport and life through all of these mechanisms, what's really remarkable is that none of what I heard in any of this was something that led me to believe this was elite, that this was somehow niche. So often these types of forums are speaking to the word excellence that Constantino just mentioned, but what a broad, inclusive community that people with different abilities who long for the chance just to belong to a team, put a number on my back, call me forward. Don't call me stupid. Call me friend. Sport brings that.
That's true.
And youth, there's an old billboard, and I'll leave everyone with that. I remember when I was a kid. Jay mentioned when he was a kid, you want to get stronger, climb a hill. When I was a kid, I remember my mom used to always drive me to church. And we'd always pass, we'd always pass a billboard that said, children are not born discriminating. These are learned behaviors.
Sure.
And what technology and sport can teach youth through these technologies, through these opportunities, you can teach them that through sport, you can be a better person and you can make other people better too. And that's what we long for in Special Olympics. We invite all of you to come to our world. We're so thrilled to be part of yours. And Oren, count on us in the world of Special Olympics. And thank everyone for the chance to participate.
Amazing. You threw a real opportunity to the air for all of us to take an active position over there. So first and foremost, I would like, and as you say, Jay wanted to be stronger, and so I asked myself how much stronger more than he looks like he could be. But Jay, once we see face to face, no COVID, I'm gonna try and punch you. No, I'm kidding. It's not gonna happen. I can run fast though. That's more important than punching strong. So with that, I would first of all thank Lorraine. Thank you very much, Lorraine. We go a long way together. Lorraine was part of our Sports Tech Executive Program that we teach sports and technology. Thank you for joining us. Cesar Lopez, thank you for joining us from Orlando. the brain guy, Costa, thank you very much. Shmulik, chairperson of the Youth Soccer Tech Alliance, bringing technology with sport. Thank you for joining us. David, thank you for joining us. Where is my camera? The camera doesn't want to join us. This is why when you do sleazy things on your desktop, you think you are in the politics. Anyway, I'm back. Here I am. So thank you all. I forgot someone. Shmulik, David, Jay, Cesar, Lorraine, Costa, all the participants. Adam, thank you for sharing some good insights with us. I would like to thank my team, amazing team, Tomer, Fernanda, the Colosseum overall team. That's it. The camera left me. I love you all. Have a great day, great evening, and we'll be in touch.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Oren.
Thanks so much. This is great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye now. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.